Watseka, Illinois, a small town, surrounded by fields. The landscape is dotted with wooden houses and dirt roads, a testament to the simplicity of rural life. Farmland stretches as far as the eye can see, a patchwork of crops that sustain the community. The year is 1877, a time when the world is on the cusp of change, yet still deeply rooted in tradition. Life here is simple, quiet. The days are marked by the rising and setting of the sun, the seasons dictating the rhythm of life. People wake with the dawn and rest as the sun dips below the horizon. But beneath the surface, the air hums with an unseen energy, an energy that seems to whisper secrets carried by the wind, rustling through the fields and the quiet streets. This is a time when the veil between our world and the next feels thin. The boundary between the living and the dead is fragile, almost permeable. When stories of spirits and hauntings are whispered around fireplaces, families gather in the dim light, sharing tales that send shivers down the spine, tales of encounters with the other side. In this place of quiet faith and deep-seated fears, a story will unfold. A story that will challenge the very fabric of reality and belief. A story that will challenge the very nature of identity, life, and death. It will blur the lines between what is known and what is feared. The townsfolk of Watseka lived with the rhythms of the land. They worked hard, they prayed harder. Their faith was their anchor, their guide through the uncertainties of life. Their lives were intertwined with the changing seasons and the bounty of the earth. Each season brought its own challenges and rewards, a cycle that defined their existence. Yet, beneath the ordinariness, there was a current of something else, an undercurrent of mystery, a sense that not everything could be explained by the tangible world, a fascination with the supernatural, a curiosity that drew people to the unknown, to the possibility that there was more to life than what met the eye, a belief that the dead were not truly gone, that they lingered, watching over the living, sometimes making their presence known in subtle and not so subtle ways. Spiritualism was gaining momentum across America. It was a movement that promised answers, connections, and a glimpse into the beyond. Seances were held in dimly lit parlors. People gathered around tables holding hands, hoping to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. People sought connections to loved ones lost. They yearned for comfort, for proof that death was not the end, but a transition to another form of existence. The air crackled with a blend of skepticism and fervent belief. Watseka was no different. It was a place where faith and doubt coexisted, each feeding off the other. In this fertile ground of faith and fear, the extraordinary was about to take root. The stage was set. The town was ready for something remarkable. The actors were in place. Ordinary people who would soon find themselves at the center of an extraordinary event. All that was needed was a spark to ignite a mystery that would captivate the nation and echo through time. The haunting tale of the Watseka Wonder, a tale that would leave an indelible mark on the town and its people, forever entwining their lives with the supernatural. The Roffs were a family touched by sorrow. Their story is one of many in a time when life was often harsh and unforgiving. They had known joy, laughter, and the simple pleasures of rural life. The Roff family, like many others, found happiness in the small moments, the daily routines, and the love they shared. But fate, it seemed, had a cruel hand to play. The clouds of misfortune gathered, casting a shadow over their once bright and cheerful existence. Their daughter Mary was a bright and cheerful child. Her presence was a beacon of light in their lives, her laughter a melody that filled their home with joy. Her laughter filled their home, until it didn't. Mary Roff fell ill. The change was sudden and devastating, a stark contrast to the vibrant life she once led. A fever, they called it. In those days, medical knowledge was limited and a simple fever could spell disaster. It consumed her young body. She wasted away. The illness took its toll, and the family could do nothing but watch as their beloved Mary grew weaker. Day by day, she grew weaker. The once lively child became a shadow of her former self, her strength ebbing away with each passing moment. Her parents watched in agony. The helplessness they felt was overwhelming, their hearts breaking as they witnessed their daughter's suffering. Helpless to stop the inevitable, they clung to each other, finding solace in their shared grief, but knowing that nothing could change the course of events. And then, she was gone. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark reminder of the void left by her absence. The light in their lives extinguished. The Roff household, once filled with laughter and joy, was now shrouded in darkness and sorrow. Grief settled over the Roth household like a shroud. They carried on. Life continued, but it was forever changed. What choice did they have? The routines of daily life provided a semblance of normalcy, but the pain of their loss was ever present. But Mary's absence was a constant ache in their hearts. Her toys remained untouched, each item a poignant reminder of the child they had lost. Her room a shrine to a life cut short. The Roths preserved it meticulously, as if by doing so they could keep her memory alive. They say that time heals all wounds, but for the Roths, time only seemed to amplify their pain. Each passing day was a reminder of what they had lost. But for the Roths, time only seemed to amplify their pain. The years passed, but the sorrow remained, etched into their hearts and minds. Their story, a tragically familiar one in a time when illness could claim the young with terrifying speed, became intertwined with the growing spiritualist movement. In their desperation, they sought answers, hoping to find some solace in the unknown. Could there be another explanation for their suffering? The spiritualist movement offered a glimmer of hope, a possibility that Mary's spirit might still be with them. Another chapter yet to be written? The Roth story, marked by tragedy and loss, was far from over. It was a tale of enduring love, unending grief, and the search for meaning in the face of unimaginable sorrow. 12-year-old Laurency Venom lived a simple life on her family farm. She was a quiet girl, dutiful. But a darkness began to creep into her world. Shadows followed her. Voices whispered her name. Laurency started having fits, seizures that racked her small body. Doctors were called in, men of science. They examined her, poked and prodded. But no earthly explanation for her condition could be found. Laurency grew worse. Her fits became more frequent, more violent. She spoke of strange visions, of people she'd never met, claimed she wasn't Laurency anymore. Her parents were beside themselves. Fear gnawed at their hearts. What was happening to their little girl? They tried everything. Traditional remedies, prayers, desperate pleas to a God who seemed deaf to their cries. Laurency's condition baffled everyone. It was a medical mystery, but in a town steeped in spiritualism, whispers of something more sinister began to circulate. Could it be something otherworldly? Something malevolent? Laurency was slipping away, and her family was powerless to stop it. Asa B. Roth, Mary's uncle, was a firm believer in spiritualism. He had found solace in its teachings after his niece's death. He consulted mediums, attended seances, and clung to the hope that Mary's spirit lived on. When he heard of Laurency Venom's affliction, a chilling thought took root in his mind. Could it be? Could Mary be reaching out from beyond the grave? Asa knew this sounded far-fetched, even ludicrous. But something drew him to Laurency's case, an undeniable pull. He decided to visit the Venom family. Asa entered their home with a heavy heart. He saw the fear in their eyes, the desperation. He listened intently as they described Laurency's bizarre behavior, her claims of knowing people she'd never met, people from his family. He knew he had to act. He suggested something radical, unthinkable to some. Allow him to speak to Laurency, to see if there was a connection to his beloved Mary. The Venoms, at their wits' end, agreed. They were desperate for anything that might help their daughter. Asa approached Laurency cautiously, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. He had heard the stories, the whispers of a miraculous change, but seeing it with his own eyes was something entirely different. She sat on the edge of the bed, eyes vacant, her body racked by tremors. It was as if she was caught between two worlds, neither fully here nor entirely gone. He spoke softly, his voice barely above a whisper, asking her if she knew him. A flicker of recognition crossed her face, a brief moment where the veil seemed to lift. A name escaped her lips, almost as if it had been waiting to be spoken. Uncle Asa? The word hung in the air, heavy with meaning and emotion. The room seemed to hold its breath, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. It was Mary's voice, her intonation, her mannerisms. The way she spoke, the way she moved, it was all unmistakably Mary. But it was Laurency's lips that formed the words, a paradox that defied logic. Over the next few days, Laurency's transformation became undeniable. She spoke of memories, vivid and detailed, of her life as Mary, recounting events and experiences with startling clarity. She spoke of her parents, her home, painting a picture so vivid it was as if she had just left them moments ago. Details only Mary could have known, secrets and intimate moments that were never shared with anyone else. She begged to go home, to the Roth house, to the place where she felt she truly belonged. To see her mama and papa, her voice filled with longing and desperation. The Venoms were astonished, terrified. They had hoped for a miracle, but this was beyond anything they could have imagined. But they couldn't deny the change in their daughter. She wasn't Laurency anymore. It was as if a different soul had taken residence in her body. It was as if Mary Roth's spirit had taken complete control, a phenomenon that left everyone around her in awe and fear. The transformation was unsettling, eerie. It challenged their understanding of reality and the boundaries of the human soul. Laurency moved with Mary's mannerisms, spoke with her voice, and even her facial expressions seemed to shift, mirroring Mary's. It was as if Laurency had become a vessel for Mary's spirit, a living testament to the mysteries of the human mind. It was a spectacle that defied explanation, a medical marvel or a spiritual enigma. The doctors and spiritualists were baffled, each offering their own theories but none able to fully explain the phenomenon. The lines between the two blurred with each passing day. Was it a case of possession, a rare psychological condition, or something else entirely? The questions lingered, unanswered, as Laurency continued to live as Mary, her transformation a constant reminder of the thin veil between the known and the unknown.